Steven Goodrich. And Steven Goodrich is actually in the chat. So shout out to Steven Goodrich. Whoa, Steven. So I actually have some notes from him. And so I might interact with him in chat right now to make sure we present these things clear and concisely as possible without rambling. So with his list, he was running triple kill rigs. So let's just get right off with this. The other leagues I'm going to cover are not going to be triple kill rigs. Don't worry if you're mad. I know some people don't like to hear the fact that there are a lot of triple kill rigs going on the field. You don't like to hear people spamming things. That's just competitive 40K. And when we're going to look at some of these rosters, these win paths and these team results, you're going to see that a lot of people are on teams and a lot of the teams are represented at the top of the events, meaning these guys get a lot of good reps. Not saying Steven's one of those guys, but that you're going to see that's why there's a lot of kill rigs. So if you're not looking to play in the upper echelons anyways, you don't have to worry about all the killing stuff, guys. Orgs are totally fine without spamming anything. You don't have to be mad at the meta that there's kill rigs that are good right now. Just be happy for Org players that we have a ton of variety, because I have hope for multiple detachments, and a lot of different factions don't have that. So I just wanted to say that before going forward, in case anybody's upset because they don't like to see triple rigs all over the table. But it is real, no joke, Tyler. So we have 3 Beast Bosses, a Ghazghkull Thraka, 2 Warbosses, and of course 3 Beast Snagga Boyz units for those 3 Beast Bosses, 2 regular boy units, 2 Trukks, 3 by 11 Gretchen. I like to see that he took advantage of all the Gretchen that he could get on the field. I think now more than ever you need them, especially when you're going so elite on this list with Steven's list, because he has the triple kill rigs, the triple Beast Boss, and the Snaggas, but he still has elite bricks all over the field because he has a 3-man unit of Mega Knobs and then 2 Storm Boy units. So you can see it's just multiple big packages. War Bosses with boys, Beast Snagga Boyz with Snaggas and the kill rigs, Ghazghkull on foot. I do like that he paid for the 3rd Mega Knob. I know sometimes it's just convenience if you could fit him on the list, but you can see he didn't just randomly start throwing enhancements on here. He understood the value in having a 3rd Mega Knob, and the value in that is that when you do shoot away the Mega Knob, you can then throw a grenade at Makari and annihilate him. And Makari is the focal point of the Ghazghkull unit. Ghazghkull Thraka point is the lethal aura, so you very much want to take care of him, and having the 3rd Mega Knob kind of helps you do that. Of course, if you can't afford them, it happens. And you do want to bring a kill saw and a power saw, because you want to be able to choose what profile you're going into depending on the profile, because ultimately Gaz getting +1 to hit, +1 to wound, and you're getting sustain, and you're getting lethals on the wall. It's magnificent. It really helps those Mega Knobs punch up even with their horrible weapon skill and low damage. Shout out to our sponsors, the Baron of Dice, as they helped us do our wall tactic dice. So shout them out. Check them out in the description, 5% off in the discount, because nobody likes taxes. And shout out to Baron of Dice. They allow us to do our paint competition. So thank you very much to them. So with that being said, let's take a look at his win path, because he gave me some notes. So hopefully I don't mess these up. Some of my notes here. So if it's going slower than usual, guys, bear with. So here we have Route 66 Fall GT. It was a golden ticket qualifier, as you can see in the top in the United States, with about 40 players. Okay. So with that being said, oops, it's saying presentation error. Look, you see that, guys? It's upset because I went both places. Thanks, guys. All right, cool. So then we have so Steven ended up going 6 rounds, and this was 4-1. So let's go over first game, and then I also have the notes up. Shout out to the lads in the chat. I see you guys. Keep it up for all the Gaz, the war bosses, and everything like that. I appreciate you guys. So I really like that we can play with triple kill rigs, but what we're going to see as we look at other lists too, and just looking at kill rigs overall and their purpose and their duty in the game, is that you can play them as support, and they don't have to be the focal point of running 3 of them in your list for you to be able to run them. So that's actually quite important there. If this would stop not being weird and not loading. So shout out to that. Let's see, I'm just responding this. This normally doesn't happen. So oops, let's see. Give it a little reset, refresh. And then we go over, oh, okay, that's what it was. Now I remember, kind of. Actually, Steven's first game, this guy doesn't show up on here. So let me actually look at his notes that he gave me in that way. Because it's not showing up, they don't have it on BCP. The player got dropped. So first player mission that he went into was Mission G, which is the ritual. The second part of that mission is the stalwart, and then his hammer and anvil. He said he had Astra Militarum matchup. It was the first guys really playing it. It really benefited him. It was a tank heavy list. It had a hard time moving around the board. It's actually very, very killy as well, because he can just take out the kill rigs really early. Ultimately, the player just got removed from the tournament. Nobody really knows. He doesn't know why, but because Steven actually is pretty efficient at the game, and you're going against a guy who's not used to guard. Guard takes a bit of skill and niche because they don't have a bunch of different stacking, overlapping rules that are gonna or combined arms that are really gonna allow them to get the orcs off them when the orcs close the distance. They're not very forgiving. So if you're not playing playing guard effectively, then you get run over, which is why some people are like, well, I be guard all the time, and some people are like, I get annihilated. Huge ceiling, very low floor as well. So into the second game, though, for Steven, we have Tyranids. Oop, why is it saying that now it doesn't want to show me in BCP when I have it? Oh, let's see. It should not be showing this problem. Let's see on screen. Well, I figured this out real quick while I was being weird. There we go. Now we're back. Yeah. All right. So for the Tyranids, we have Invasion Fleet. You guys got to be prepared for Tyranids. All right, because the people are going to start realizing that they're really good. A lot of the predators are gone, and if you're a really skilled player, you can make them work. A lot of guys like John Lennon really promoted them, which other people are going to start picking up on them. So just know the Tyranids are getting familiar with them. All right. We do have ways to beat them, and Gaz is one of those tools that helps us beat them. So let's take a look real quick, and I also have notes for this matchup. We have this was mission round 2. It was Purge the Foe. Smoke and mirrors and tipping point. So of course, remember Purge the Foe, MSU units getting killed more. You're gonna help offset the score there. So sometimes it really hurts for Orks, but when you go against Tyranids, it can matter. So let's see what the list was to see if they have enough small units to help us. So we have Death Leaper. There's something we can kill right there. Hive Tyrant, Winged Hive Tyrant, Gargoyles, Hormigons, Biovores, 2 Exocrines, 2 Harlspecs. So cheap for 125 points, guys. Triple Lictors, and then double Tyrannofex. Very devastating sort of list. Typically, if you're an Ork player and you're not running triple kill rigs, right? The fact that you have auto hitting las cannons, so you actually have some sort of shooting to close the distance on these, let's say even lictors, where you can shoot lictors away because they have fight first, and you don't want to be throwing away Ork units there and then getting precision out of your units because we have soft units. You actually have shooting options, or your kill rigs themselves can just charge these lictors if they get a chance. You have multitude of Beast Snagga Boyz, of course, and Beastbosses that are actually used to destroy these Harlspecs and trade them out, or these Tyrannofexes. Gaz can just punch right through them. I'm having games where people are like 5 up feeling pain, blah blah. I'm like, all right, here comes Gaz with his unit, or the Beast Snagga Beast Boss right next to him. Of course, you can drop Worth Boys towers into them and even damage him a little bit. 2 units of gargoyles. Be aware that these gargoyles are very tricky. The better the player, the more effective he is with his gargoyles. For example, if they want to move block you, they'll put them in reserve. They'll come down from their deep strike, but they'll shoot, and then they'll move after they shoot, so they get 6 inches closer to you, and then act as a response move to you, and then start to move block you on their turn. So keep that in mind, that they can actually do that to you. Of course, they can't move after they could rapid ingress in and get in your way, but just know that I'm saying, when they move and reinforce on their turn, just because they come in somewhere 9 inches doesn't mean they're going to stay in those 9 inches away. So the better the Tyranid player, the more effective he can use these kind of shenanigan moves. So the notes from our boy was he had a mixed melee of big shooting bugs, of course. And of course, he does have the board control as well, because he could just kind of stay in the middle of the table. But because he had all the kill rigs and such, he mostly just targeted his units until he found a spot to really push with the kill rigs and get value. The big swing was when he popped one of his kill rigs in shooting and charged the Beast Snaggas that came out, and I was able to heroic. He was able to heroic with Ghazghkull. So pretty much the shot he heroic. I feel like heroic is very, very underutilized by Ork players. A lot of the time we don't want a heroic because the unit that does heroic just gets target to get punched up, right? If you're like, if you heroic with like a unit of knobs, there's a good chance those knobs might actually get punched out by whatever charge. So keep in mind that Gaz is really good for heroic, and you can use it kind of as bait. It does take you to be aware. So yeah. And then he pretty much tanked it with the wall, and he slingshot Gaz to his back line and pushing him off the field. You got to play very aggressive when you're playing into Tyranids, I would say, as well. If you let them sit back on some missions where they can sit back, Persia Foe's not one of them. They're necessarily sitting back, because you can play very slowly, right? You can just go for one objective, hold your home, and then kill somebody. Just hope to get more from kill more. Instead of actually trying to spread all over the field. Yet when it is time to go, like he said, that's how you really push through them and pressure them, because they're really trying to sit back and just control the table and score you. They're thinking similar to you, where Tyranid players are expecting to lose a lot of models and die, but they're trading out for points of attrition. So you got to keep those points up and play intelligently. Luckily, this list with triple kill rigs give you the combined arm aspect, guys. Something that a lot of the time Orks list didn't have, especially when they're lacking kill rigs, right? Before the changes in Pry, like I was saying, where most people were saying kill rigs are going to come into play. The real thing that's underslept on is you get shooting. You get a bunch of shooting. Shout out to my boy Kevin, homie. Then we have, because Kevin, we're going to talk about you today, my friend, you little menace to society. All right, so we have and shout out to Murder Mouth. How much, if any percent, can a flavor list be? Okay. Fair question. It depends on how competitive you want to be, right? But I would say maybe like 15-20% of your list can be, depends on how bad the list is, right? I would say. But shout out to you, Murder Mouth. So let me look at his next matchup. So his next matchup in round 4 we have, and I actually have his notes on this. So round 4, he went into Astra Militarum. Now, this was the game he actually lost, and this was actually against one of his friends. This was Mission A, which is oh, by the way, round 3 was Scorched Earth. Did I skip that? Because I want to make sure I messed that up. Doing round 2, round 3. Sorry, guys, I have more notes. Against the Tyranids, it was actually Scorched Earth. Did I lie? Yes, I did lie. See, I lied earlier. I'm glad I caught that. Round 2 was against Purge the Foe, which was also against Tyranid. See, that's how I almost messed it up. Boom, caught myself. Heck yeah, guys. So round 3, he also had a Tyranid matchup, but this one was on Scorched Earth, and this one was Crusher Stampede. Boom, I almost jumped ahead. Caught myself. We do this live, boys. We do this live. Bear with me. All right, so round 3, like I said, it was Mission P, which is Purge the Scorched Earth, Inspired Leader, and Crucible of Battle. Okay, so let's take a look at this Crusher Stampede list. I think Crusher Stampede lists are super cool. I own Tyranids as an army as well. I only own it because I want to have monsters, as I already have enough Orc bodies, right? So we have a Death Leaper, Neural Tyrant, Biovore, double Exocrines, a Hierophant, 2 Lictors, a two Maliceptors, a Psychophage, and then a Zoanthrope. So you're looking at this gate and you're like, a Hydrophant. That must be a meme. Well, dude, people think Stompa's a meme and they mess you up. Sometimes go 4-1 at tournaments, sometimes win RTT, stuff like that. Hierophant can be legit with this devastating damage. And remember, Crusher Stampede gives you the ability to get +1 to hit when these guys get hurt, and I believe they can even get +1 to wound. So you have a bunch of Lictors, Maliceptors to hold the line into here. A Psychophage will not effectively die for anything for 95 points with a good trade. You have a few Zoanthropes to actually shoot down the 3 field to assist with that. And then you have the Neural Tyrant, who even makes them shoot even better also. And he makes the Shadow of the War better. So it's actually not see, he's saying it was not a good joke. Boom. Exactly. It was, you could look at an Orc Stompa list and be like, that's the trash. And then you actually lose to that. But this is like the inverse. You're actually playing against the Tyranid Stompa equivalent here, but they have Exocrines, which means they can shoot even better. These lone ops that are going to fight first, and they're going to be chilling in the backfield, and the Maliceptors that are really, really annoying for Orcs to deal with. Which the fact that they have 4-up invuln, -1 to hit, and they can pop a 5-up feel no pain. Not in Crusher, they can't pop a 5-up feel no pain, but just typically Invasion Fleet, you're thinking about that, right, as well. So as much as this looks like a meme list, it really much wasn't. Steven actually sent notes for this one as well, and he's in chat. So he said Mission P, and like I said, Scorched Earth. This one was tough. He put the Bile Titan on the center objective. I wish I could get my Stompa to the center objective and not be scared. He touched the terrain on both sides, and it was able to kill anything he wanted. So because, guys, he's Titanic, if he just simply touches terrain, he can now look over and through it. And because the Bile Titan is so silly tall like Big Bug, like in the Space Marine 2 game, shout out to the guy who actually played this, Cooper, because he's been playing Space Marine 2 too much. He's able to shoot everything. So he said, my plan was to ignore the Titan and take out his scoring. Each round, the Titan killed something, and I pressed the rest of the board. It was a close game. So shout out to Cooper for making this a close game, because you would think it was a meme, but you have triple kill rigs, a Beastbosses, and Gaz, and he was still scared of this thing just because of this thing's killing potential and devastation. So I really love to see that. On Scorched Earth, also, you got to know that Scorched Earth, you got to play multiple missions, because if you're table too early, you can start to burn objectives and score even heavier. So shout out to that, and bring out the Gargantuan Squigoths. Right, the ringer, that's perfect, right? That's exactly what you want to bring on in that case, Gargantuan Squigoth. So next we have his round 4 matchup, which was Astra Militarum, which Steven said that this was actually his homie, his friend, someone that he practices into. And so not only is this, and this is what I talk about with this Astra Militarum matchup, guys, this is specifically what I talk about, not that it's a friend, but that you are somewhat equivalent players, maybe one slightly better than the other, vice versa, but the fact that they are familiar with your list, or that they understand how to play their list really well, makes the matchup much harder. And that's what happened in this case, where Brian understood our boys' list very well and was like, okay, I have to, Steven's been telling me how it works, kind of, I know what it can do, therefore I'm going to do exactly what I can against it. And Brian ended up coming with a good battle plan. We're going to look at the notes real quick, but let's look at the list, because you have to be aware of what Astra Militarum's kind of doing here. And I have a little bit of notes, and I kind of want to pull up some things that I think other people are sleeping on when they talk about Astra Militarum. Like, they always want to talk about just the Aquilons and everything, all the corny stuff, but there's reasons and compounding factors that make that hold the line for Astra Militarum while these broken units flip in there, like Bulgrin and whatever, right? They're stacked upon the foundation of something else within Astra Militarum, and we're going to show that off. So we have a Militarum Tempestus Command Squad, another Tempestus Command Squad, and a third Tempestus Command Squad. These guys just drop with Scions and really boost their shooting potential. Scions get rerolls so they can shoot as well. So these guys are like their literally shock assault troops. I own a full Tempestus Scion army, so in my heart, I actually really think this is awesome. When you're an Ork player and you're dealing with this, you're like, that's pretty kind of annoying because tanks can pop my vehicles pretty effectively, and then these turds can drop and shoot me, right? So it's kind of funny that it's both sides of my face. So we have a Platoon Command Squad, 2 Primaris Psychers, and then Iron Hand Stracking. Before I move forward, I want to show these characters off so you can keep these in mind as you're looking over this list. So Iron Hand Stracking, you can think of it as a meme, but guys like Morty and Glory, which is one of the prime leaders of the Astra Militarum player base, whether they're competitive or not, they all like him, is that he loves Iron Hand Stracking. And that's because if you have this first wave of Catachans, which are going to scout 6, there'd be a whole bunch of bodies of 20 models, and they're not really that they're pretty cheap and they're not really that easy to kill, as we'll look at in a second. Having a character within this unit, similar to how we have Zogrog with our Grots, right? It makes it so you're like, oh, you think you're just gonna walk up in here with like a 5-man unit of intercessors? Yeah, right. You're gonna come up here with flash kits and just punch me up? No, you're not, because something like Iron Hand Stracking really goes off. He also has anti-monster 4+, which is pretty cool and silly. He's 6 attacks, hits on 2, strength 6, -2, 2 attacks, really good into Orks. Also gives the unit lethals, and then he can re-rolls the charges, I believe, and re-rolls a hit in the wound rolls you can see there. He has a little bit of guns too. His auto shotgun's not bad, into Orks, because it doesn't matter about the AP too much. So not only do I have him on the field, that's kind of along with this front line of annoying Catachans, but he also has Primaris Psychers, which is, you can see here, they can also go with the Catachans, which means that they can get a feel no pain. So if you're trying to clear them with, sometimes we talk about Ork grenades, right, where screens get in the way and you're trying to finish somebody off, or there's other units that can have devastating wound potential. They can have feel no pain of that. Not only that, but they can just simply pop it for a shooting phase for a 4-up invuln in that case too. So for against other armies, he's had other layers of durability here. So against Orks, it's not as bad because we don't care about a 4-up invuln, but we do care about Iron Hand Stracking and such like that. So 2 little units that I think people forget about that. So we have 1, 2 10-man units of Catachans, followed by a 20-man unit of Catachans, another 10-man, another 10-man, 1, 2 units of Tempestus Scions. These are full 10-man units for a flat 100 points. Pretty devastating when you stick the characters on there. So he has 3 of those to go. 2, 3. No, he does have 3. 3 of those bricks, and then he has 2 5-man units of Tempestus Command Squad. So I think he made the guy the Warlord. Did he make him a Lord so they can be battle line or what? Yeah, he did. Okay. So yeah, because that's what caught me off guard for a second. Definitely, you have to make them the Warlord, Tempestus Commander, so you can have these guys as battle line. Kind of cool, right? Imagine if you can do that with Grots or something. Make Zod the Commander. So then you have Atalan, 1, 2, 3 units of Atalan Rough Riders. These guys hit hard. They have like Melta Lances. You definitely got to be worried about them. And I believe they can even come back to life when you spend CP, because they have the not battle line keyword, but whatever the regiment keyword, I believe. So we have 1, 2, 3. No, 2. It was 2. 1, 2 units of Death Core Riders. So they don't hit as hard, but they're a little bit more durable. And you still have to be aware of them because, of course, their hooves, their mounts hit, and the guys on top hit. A unit Scout Sentinels, and then, of course, everybody knows the menace of the meta, 3 10-man units of the Tempestus Aquilons. So this is a very hard to get hands-on type of unit, yet they're choosing their interactions with you. Yes, and Steven confirms 2 CP, you can bring those guys back. So that means you're killing them 4 units of those riders, and you really don't want that, because when they charge into you, they're pretty devastating. Like, they can even put holes and mega knobs on the wall. So got to be careful for that. So you can see here, he has all these, which is what ends up working against Steven, right? Now we're going to talk about Steven's notes, as I don't have to pre-presume. He could just tell us exactly what happened here, which is Catachan Jail. So we're talking about jail, where people take wolf jail and stuff like that. All in all, if you can take a bunch of bodies and move up into Orcs' faces where they have vehicles, right? Kill rigs or trucks or multiple battle wagons, and Orcs can't usually pay for both infiltrators and scouts and everything like that. Even if you have scouts, you can be taken out by the enemy scouts if they go first, which is what happened here. He ended up going first. So the player knew what to do. He made a line of Catachan across the table. He went first, walked out in the open, then there was a layer of cavalry behind him. And then, of course, the guys can actually drop down from reserve and start choosing their interactions and killing you as well. He was taking fixed, and he was auto scoring 36 from engage and homers, or locust, and locust, because there were 3-inch deep strike is impossible to screen out. It was a good game, but the jail sucked. So all in all, you got to be aware of that's kind of how they're going to work too. People understand that if I can play the game without interacting with you or as little as possible, like uppy downy shenanigans or putting you in jail and then scoring over my points as much as possible without having to, pull cards and have random variables, they're going to do that. So that's definitely a good move. By Brian Moody, that's how you beat someone who's doing really well, or in general, just try to make it to undefeated records, right? Take variables out. It's not that they can't handle having more variables involved. They want assured outcomes. It kind of sucks and feels bad though to have to deal with a 3-inch deep strike, to be honest. I don't really like it. You guys know that. Then we go into his game 5. So we go into his game 5. Oh, and also round 4 was taking hold, raise banners and tipping points for mission A. I almost messed that up. Got that though. Then we have game 5, which he was against. Wait, almost messed that up. Grey Knights. Ooh, I know. I love me some Grey Knights. Not kidding. I'm just kidding. I love me to crump some Grey Knights. So we have Brotherhood Champion, Brotherhood Librarian, Kaldor Drago, a unit of Terminators, a nice big brick, and then a big unit of Striker squads. Don't usually see that. Pretty cool. A Razorback, a Venerable Dread Knight, 2 Nemesis Dread Knights, a Paladin squad, but it looks like it's just a 5-man unit, and then a Purgation squad. So this list is on the cusp of being really effective, in my opinion. Like, you are going to see a lot of these things on the top tier list, but some of these things you won't see. So you usually won't see a big brick of strike squads. You won't see a Razorback and the Ven Dread, but you'll see multiple Dread Knights, and I expect you'll see more Paladins as time goes on. I know people use Terminators, as you can see here, but I do think Paladins are more effective. You have Kaldor Drago for the pretty much assured deep strike, as he can come in from 6 inches. Librarian to do mortal wounds, and then the Brotherhood Champion for pretty much acts as the captain, right? So for the notes for this one, as he said this, it was Mission I. So Mission I is Burden of Trust, a prepared position, and search and destroy as the deployment. So it was this was difficult because he only played Grey Knights once with their movement shenanigans. I can actually show you that real quick. I think I have it up here. I should have had it up here. So here we have the Paladin squad. They get -1 to wound if they're being targeted. I actually have it on screen. You can see. Yep. So they -1 to be targeted, but what is really annoying is if missed of Deimos. So if you're not used to Grey Knights, this is very important that you understand this, and even if you don't play them, you know what this is. So it's in your opponent's movement phase just after a unit ends in normal fallback, advance, or move. Is one Grey Knights unit that's within 9 of the enemy unit. You can move up to D6, or you can jump back up into Deep Strike. That's very, very potent and annoying when you're dealing with them. They also have a enhancement on their Dread Knight characters typically, where if you target them for shooting, then they can also go into Deep Strike too. But you have to be aware of that if you're trying to target something like a brick of Terminators or a brick of Paladins, that they're going to pick themselves up. But the way that Steven handled it was that he was setting up multiple units that could charge. He was setting up multiple of his own units that can charge multiple units of the Grey Knights. And the order of which you start moving your models to bait that stratagem is really how you deal with that. So, for example, if you actually want to charge, let's say the Purgation squad, right? But you tempt them saying, hey, I'm going to charge your 5-man unit or Paladins with Gaz, right? There's a chance that he might try to give up his Paladins or have the Paladins, tank it just to keep the Purgation squad away, which means you're going to move Gaz first, and then maybe you're just going to stand there and then move only 9 inches, slightly over 9 inches away, but then you'll pop here we go on that unit, and then you'll attempt a 7-inch charge. So then he won't even be able to use his Mr. Deimos, and then you just counteracted him and all. So there's ways you can get around it, and you have to consider it, but you have to be, have multiple layers to your things that you can do. And he said, well, one of the game was the Storm Boys dropped to the backfield, started doing second get dairies. They were the MVP. I would also like to say that having kill rigs means that you can actually shoot stuff like Dread Knights because they have low toughness and good armor saves, and but typically they have nothing to threaten. Orcs have nothing to threaten them with. So the fact that you actually end up have something means they have to play even a little bit better and be a little bit more respectful. So I really like to see that. So shout out to him that one. And then last but certainly not least is his last game where he went into Josh, and this was the Chaos Demons. He called it Fatty and Friends. I think Demons you need to be aware of too. A lot of people have these armies on the shelves, nice and dusty. Who doesn't want to play with just the least amount of units as possible and just throw a bunch of big monsters on the field and start getting stuck in 40K and going to events? So for round 6, this was Linchpin, Fog of War, and Tipping Point. So Fog of War, you do have to consider that they're going to put everything on the field and maybe pick it up anyways, but they can just pick up stuff off the field anyways because they're demons. So it's not that big of a deal. For you, it could be because you can fake them out and then act like you're filling up the field killed and then decide, hey, I'm just going to go into reserve. But let's look at the list real quick. You typically don't have to with a triple kill rig list. Pretty linear what you're trying to do with the kill rig list, right? You're just trying to run them over. So we have Be'lakor, a great and clean with endless gift, Keeper of Secrets, another Keeper of Secrets, and then a third Keeper of Secrets, a Changeling, and then the Mask of Slanesh. We have Plague Bears, 2 units of those. You guys have sticky objectives, more durable than you expect. They do have 5 up invul, they have 2 wounds, and their toughness 5. So be aware of them. You do have 2 units of flamers, and that's it. Very, very thick and heavy. But guess what? Having Gaz and an aura of lethals is devastating. And in this mission, which he would say was mission C, is this game unfortunately had a massive advantage due to terrain layout for the Ork player. So Steven saying that he felt better. He effectively was able to funnel his demons to the center of the board, where he was able to stage, and he had nothing to take out the kill rigs, so you can kind of bully him with the kill rigs. He surrounded them, charged them on the wall, and of course you could just stack that. You're going to use Gaz's lethal ability, use Unbridled Carnage, use that on one of your units, and then even the other units still have reroll hits, so they're still wounding on lethals, still have the beast boss punches, still have Gaz itself. It's a super nasty counter. The fact that they can't pop your kill rigs means that you can choose to get the initiative on them and then be devastating. So shout out to Steven for overcoming them demons, because demons are making a muck in the meta, and it's good that you crump them when you can, because they make for good loot. So last tip and overall view from Steven, for those who were wondering, he said Gaz was a must. Gaz was his MVP and the most exceptional important unit, except for Grey Knights. It's because Grey Knights can just miss the Deimos away from him. So that's kind of why. And he said, of course, Makari is amazing. The whole point is Makari. So he said, like we always talk about on the channel, or like I always try to push, even before kill rigs are 155, is that they just simply play all aspects of the game. You got to respect things in 40k that do more than just kill. The more you understand that as a novice or intermediate player, the more that you can get out of every single unit, especially as an Ork player, because you are playing with a lot of trash, a lot of unreliable outcomes. Therefore, you got to make the most out of everything you have. And then he said he would do the whole switcheroo with his boys, where he would, move his truck with boys, have grots get in, have the, boys get out, have the grots get in behind that, keep the truck nice and loaded, keep your grots up the field, moving up the field, jumping in the transport to the next turn. They can move up and maybe take a objective. So shout out to Steven Goodrich. Whoa, thank you for the notes. I really appreciated that. Hopefully the chat and everybody here did too. If you enjoyed the clip, check out the full video here. If you'd like to see more tactics, click here.
Let's get stuck in, lads!